Good evening, Africa. Good evening, our team in South Africa, in Nigeria. It is so exciting always to get on this call. This call has been very helpful to us in our business in Africa, where we have hosted both indigenous and global leaders who have shared with us from their own real life experiences how they're doing it. And so this is for us like a real life hands-on experience where we can see and learn from others, that we too can be able to experience the kind of success that they are experiencing, albeit that we are in new markets, we're growing, but from their experiences, we can learn to be able to, make our mistakes and rise up and be able to propel our business to the point where we want to see it and the kind of growth that we anticipate seeing in our business. My name once again is Blessing Edetubano, who head business development for Africa, and I have on the call with me tonight our colleagues, some who work, vaccine, and but I have Neil Ntunyai, who all of you know, who works with me in business development. Neil, say hi.
Good evening, team. Always a pleasure to be on this amazing Thursday calls where we get to get some knowledge from our respectable, from our world-renowned leaders from all over the globe. We are truly blessed to be part of a company where we are able to get so much information for free. Where else but at PartnerCo? So I hope that you are all ready. You've got your pens and your paper ready to jot down all the information that we'll be getting this evening from Stephane. Thank you so much for connecting with us today, Stephane. Thank you, team.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much. So before we get Stephane, I'd like to introduce Stephane, just give you a little bit about this amazing man and his beautiful wife, Claudia, what they have done and what they are doing with their business with PartnerCo. And so this is a man who has always been an entrepreneur and started being an entrepreneur at the age of 19. So he's always been a business owner, but like every one of you on the call, he dreamed of a life of freedom. Although in this process of the dreaming of the life of freedom, of entrepreneurship, he has failed at MLM for 16 years, but he learned a lot and learned a few skills, and with commitment, he has become one of the top leaders in our company. Him and his wife has opened markets in the Asias and have one of the fastest team in Europe and has opened another one in Canada. Now, Stephane and his wife, Claudia, live in the mountains in Canada. They have 3 beautiful daughters who saw them transformed into leaders and has inspired their daughters to start their own business as well. They love to travel. They love the outdoor activities and the good life of a successful network marketing business. Who doesn't love that? Please welcome with me STEPHANE Page on the call tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's going to be fun to share with you some ideas and insights that can help you build.
Please go ahead, Stephane.
Yeah, do you want me to share? Do you have questions? Where do you want me to start? I got plenty of ideas here.
Wow. We would just allow you to share with us some of the information that can help all of our leaders, our newbies in the business in Africa grow.
Okay, excellent. Well, Blessing, thank you for having me. It's great to spend some time with you. And actually, I asked you, like, how do you guys do these calls? Like, what subjects should I cover? And just to have an idea. And usually, most of the time, I don't, prepare. I just go and share what I have. But you gave me some guidelines, and one of them was you wanted me to share what inspired me to join this industry. So is it good if I start there?
Awesome. Perfectly, sir.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So first of all, yes, 19 years old. I've been, I started this journey in this network marketing profession. I didn't have the preconceived notion that some people have about the business, that, it's a pyramid thing or, things like that. So for me, I discovered this business kind of it was kind of weird. Here's what happened. First, my father was in Amway back in the 70s. And he had at the time the book of the month, the tape of the week, was all about personal growth. And so at 16 years old, he gave me a book on personal development. And I started to read that book, and it opened the possibilities for me at the time, because I was a shy little boy, didn't have many friends in school, introvert. It was not easy to, get in the world and talk to people and all of that. So I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. But because of those books, I discovered that I could accomplish anything I want in life. And I started to dream. I started to dream of the big life, of traveling the world, of having fun, of impacting people's lives, of doing all kinds of incredible things. And so that was a big dream. So at I think I was 17. I'm in a class in school, and the teacher gave us aptitude test, to determine what kind of careers we should be good at in life. So I go do the test, and then the next day we come back into class. I get the results of the test, and I look on the right side of the sheet where the income shows. And I look at the highest income, because I have these big dreams now. I've been dreaming, for quite some time after reading all these books. And I read it, and I see the biggest income, and I look at the career, and it says plumber. And I'm like, what? Like, now I don't have anything against plumbers. It was just not my ambition to become a plumber. And I didn't see how that would allow me to reach my dreams. And at that moment, it clicked. And I thought, I was looking in the class, and I could see everybody were kind of excited and talking to each other. Hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I thought, this is crazy. People are going to decide what they're going to do for the rest of their life based on a test? No way. That moment was a very determining moment in my life, because I said, here's what I want to do. I'm going to become successful in life. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to create success. And then I'll come back and teach people how to create success. That became my life's mission. Now, fast forward a couple of years later, I'm walking in the kitchen. I pass behind my father. He's sitting with two of my siblings at the table. He's drawing circles. And he's explaining, if you help enough other people, you're going to create success for yourself and all of that. And I thought, what is this? Like, what is this concept? And I got fascinated. And I asked my father about it, and he told me what network marketing was about. It was about you creating success by helping others create success. And that's how I got introduced to the business. And at that point, that was the second special moment in my life. The first one was these books and the introduction to personal development, along with that class and the test, and saying, I'm going to prove them wrong. And then it was that moment where I discovered these circles. And I don't know about you, but the first time I saw the circles, I couldn't sleep at night. I was laying in bed thinking about the multiplication, and I'm going to get all these people on board, and we're going to create, success together, and we're going to enjoy life. Now, of course, it didn't happen overnight. It took me years. Actually, I joined a company that went down. I joined another company that shut down again. And that was over a number of years. And then I joined another one, and then another one, and then another one. 5 companies over 16 years. Failure after failure after failure. Most people, they join, start 6 months, they're not rich, they quit. 16 years, not rich, didn't quit. Because I had a strong desire for my life to change. And here's the one thing that happened at the time. We had growing up kids. And I shared with them what I learned through the books. You can dream in those, about those big dreams. If you believe in your dreams, you can achieve anything you want. All of these. And I knew they were watching me. They were watching their father dream, work at night, work on the weekends, work anytime I could. Yes, I would spend time with them. It was quality time when I was with them, but I was working a lot. And I told them I had these dreams that I would be traveling the world. I would have teams in multiple countries, and I would do all these things. And so I couldn't quit because it was not just about me. It was about what kind of father would I become if I quit on my dreams? And so because they were watching me, I had to make things happen. So that's why I persisted. That's why I continued. And then I discovered this company. And what happened, I would say, what changed? Because maybe some people are here listening and they're wondering, like, what happened? What was that? What made you create success after 16 years? I believe there's three elements that are important in creating success. One, yes, personal development, your mindset, very important, because you're going to face challenges. You're going to face all kinds of things. Are you going to stick in the game? Even after all these years, if you're facing all these challenges. So mindset is super important. And here's what I found. Most teams will focus on one of those three elements based on what was the breakthrough in their career for the main leader of the team. So if the leader of the team, what their breakthrough was personal development, mindset, and all that, they're going to teach that all the time. Like the whole team is going to be focused on that, which is good. And for me, I had that because I had the books, I had the tapes, I had all these things. So my mindset was pretty strong, but I still was failing. Bad companies, all kinds of things. But the second element that was missing, which I didn't understand at the time, there you go, the balloons on my other side here. You don't see them, but anyway. So two things. The second thing is that skills are important. Are you competent in doing your job? What are the skills required in network marketing? Well, my upline, my friend and sponsor is Tim Sells. Some of you have heard of him. Some of you have followed his training, and he talks about the pipeline. When you look at the skills we need in the businesses, one is generation of leads. Do you have leads to talk to? If you don't, you need to figure this one out. You need to master lead generation so you have an abundance of prospects. Leads. Then invite. Are you able to invite people so that they say, hey, I want to know more. Tell me more about your business or your product. So are you able to invite people? Are you able to present? And sometimes presentation, you don't need to be a great presenter. You can have tools that do the presentation for you, but you need to, the next one, which is follow up. Are you good at following up with people? And then are you good at creating duplication? That's all we need to learn in our business. Now think about someone who's a brain surgeon. They have years of school, of learning, of all kinds of things to become great at what they're doing. For us, that's it. Those are the skills. Once you master them, you have control over your business. So I got in a journey where I needed to learn how to invite because I had leads, but I couldn't invite properly. So that's where I connected with my upline, Tim. At the time, I didn't know him. I knew him from his trainings and things like that, but I didn't know him personally. So he recruited me. And I followed his training. I listened to his CDs at the time on inviting. I didn't speak English. Very, very few words like table, chair, father, mother. I couldn't have a conversation. I speak French. That's what we speak in Quebec, Canada. So I learned to speak English listening to his CDs. You typically, when you have kids and you're driving your car, you're listening to the music from the kids, right? Animation, like keep them busy. But my kids listen to Tim Sells, right? I had to learn to speak English. And that's what I did is I was playing his CDs. I would look in the dictionary, trying to translate what he just said. It was crazy. But that's what I did. And I got so good at inviting because I learned to speak in a language, listening to him, that then I could invite anyone to look at the business in person, over the phone, and typing, texting, social media, whatever. So I got good at that. And then I learned how to get good at presenting and enrolling people in the business. So there's just a process you need to learn. And so that was the second thing, personal development, mindset. And the second is skills. Once you master the skills, there's no coming back, meaning you can have success. There's no limit right there. And then the third one was something I discovered once I started to build this with this company. I was recruiting people. Actually, as a matter of fact, the first year in the company, I was named one of the top 3 recruiters around the world in the company. Actually, you see this award right here? It was called Premier Ambassador 2012. Okay, I won that. It was top recruiter of the company at the time. And so from a guy who struggled, introvert, shy, didn't have success for 16 years, joined a company and suddenly #1, actually one of the top 3 recruiters in the company. Insane. Why? Skills. Okay. But the second thing that happened after I was able to recruit tons of people, nobody or most people wouldn't duplicate. They would join, no duplication. People quit, people stop, like whatever. And so I learned the third thing, and that was systems. Systems is what makes you duplicate. So those are the 3 cornerstones. If you don't have those 3, you can have the skills, the duplication. Yeah, you can have that. But if you don't have the mindset, you're going to screw up in your business. You're going to get people leave your team. They're not going to be happy. You're going to face challenges. You're not going to be able to handle them. All right. So you need the mindset. You need the skills so that you're doing it right. And the third one is, of course, systems, so that you can have a team that duplicates. So that's what happened. Okay. I just wanted to share with you guys those 3 things, because you need to evaluate where you are currently in the business, what's happening, and what is missing. Where do you need help? And invest the time to learn that part, because it's going to pay off. I'm telling you. Today, we have teams that surpass, like since we joined that company to now, our team grew to over 100,000 people. They're not all active, by the way. I wish they would all be active. But 100,000 people join our team. Actually, a little bit more than that, but I'll share with you why more and what happened. But that's to answer the first point that you mentioned, Blessing, on what inspired me on my journey. And I think it was the purpose of changing my life and changing other people's lives. And this industry does it so well, because you can succeed in other businesses, which I did in the past with my traditional business. I was renting snowmobiles, but I was the only one creating success, right? My customers would come, they would be happy, go back home with great pictures, snowmobile trips was fun, but that's it. I didn't have a huge impact in their lives. But network marketing changes people's lives. So for me, that's huge, the impact you can have. So is it okay? Do I just continue with this? It's good? All right. Okay. The second point you brought, Blessing, is what do you consider as the core values that can lead teams to success? Okay. So I was, thinking about that, like, what are core values? And it's kind of a term that, like, what are values? Like, how do you define that? And I start to search, start to list, what are different values. And I just came up with just a few, because I could go on probably for hours just on this subject. But one is trust, especially in network marketing and in anything we do. But in network marketing, trust is so important, because you lead teams and they're going to be facing challenges. They need to have trust in you. You can't be taking people from your downline. You can't be like cross recruiting. You can't be, like, you have to be someone that people can trust. That's one important thing in building big teams. Number 2, I think fun, and they're not in order of importance. I'm just throwing a few out there. Fun. This business is not easy. Probably like most everything we do. But the thing with this business, what's particular, is it's based on personal performance and willingness to do things. If you get a job tomorrow and you don't show up, you don't get a paycheck at the end of the week. You better show up. That's it. Okay, that's it. But in this business, if you don't do the work today, you don't feel like it, nothing happens. Nothing's going to change. Just like working out at the gym, right? You wake up in the morning, you feel, oh, I don't want to work out. Even if I don't go, it's not going to change the overall year picture. So you don't do it. But we know that it's the cumulative effort that builds something eventually big. And so that's why, for me, just the fact that it requires grit, it requires you to be out there, push and make things happen. So then it takes someone very special. And so there's going to be challenges. You're going to face all kinds of things. So fun needs to be part of the culture. Because if you don't have fun, I mean, it's going to be boring. You're going to quit. You got to have fun. So for me, that's part of this. And that's why when we go on, trips, conventions, things like that with our teams, we try to incorporate some activities, some time together. We try to have fun. All right. So that's one thing. And just to give you an example, one of the events we did here in Quebec when we launched is we organized a meeting, but instead of being in a hotel room, it was in a spa by the river. And so people would come a few hours earlier, enjoy the spa, go in the nature, have fun. Then we go to the meeting in a little room in that spa. That's where we did it. So it was just combining fun with our business. The third one is simplicity. It needs to be simple. You need to have, because it's so easy to complicate things. I remember at the beginning, I told you that skills was important. Well, one of the things I did initially is I was training people on skills. And I was training them on lead generation, inviting, presenting, follow up. It was hours of training. But then it was too complex. And so people would not take action. They would be focused on learning, and only learning, never taking action. So you need to make sure what you're doing is simple. All right. Another one is drama. You don't want drama on your team. And that's so easy to have drama. And so the way we try to address that is to when I said trust is important, well, exactly. If someone brings us something, let's say, I don't know, I'm frustrated, my customer received the wrong product, then that's kind of a little drama. I can excite the drama, or I can ignore it, right? And I can say, oh, no worries, we're going to fix it. The person is still in the drama and still thinking, oh my gosh, he's not handling it. And so what do? I say, hey, Blessing, I'm not happy too. That's bad. The customer didn't receive the product correctly. Something's wrong. Let's fix it. Let's figure out what happened. Because there's usually a reason. I mean, they send thousands of orders. I'm sure something happened. Let's figure it out. Right? So it's not just what you handle, but how you handle it. And even with your teams, there's sometimes someone talking in the back of someone else. You don't accept that. What you need to do is bring the two together, like solve things quick, because otherwise that's going to deteriorate, right? So you don't want drama. So that's one of the values we try to have on our team. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It does happen, but we need to handle it properly. So drama. And the last one I mentioned here, I wrote is recognition. Okay. People work their job for hours each week. They have very little recognition. So we need to be there. And I think in network marketing, we're pretty good. And especially here with this company, we're good with recognition. It's all about like clapping for people, their achievements, and helping them and making them feel part of something big. Here's what we try to do is not leave anyone apart because they're not at a certain rank. We don't care about the rank. This is a human being. They trust in you. They trust in the business. They have these big dreams. I feel I have obligations to help people, to help those people. They need my help. Otherwise, they would already be successful. And so we try to treat everybody equal, meaning that if they ask for help, we're there. Now, here's a little trick. The way we try to do it is like playing chess. Okay? if you, Blessing, come to me and you ask for advice, I'm going to give you advice. But I got to make sure you go and do it. Don't come back for advice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, but never implement. Okay? So it's I give, you give. I give, you give. I give, you give. All right? And to me, that's the way I felt when I joined this company. I joined my upline, the owner of the company, like everybody treated me like royalty. I felt, wow, I've never been treated like that. And I'm not a big shot. I'm not a big leader. I'm a 16 years failure in network marketing. Right? Why are they treating me so well? And I thought, wow, I feel good. But now I also feel I need to pay back the way they make me feel. So I need to earn that feeling. I need to earn that respect. So I went out there, and every time they said, Stephane, you should do this, I went and I did it. And when I came back, I was at where they said I should be or more. Right? I implemented things. So that's the other thing, is the recognition, how you make your team feel, and all of those. So that was the second point that you brought up. All right, let's talk about the third one here. These are great questions. I don't know if everybody gets those questions, but I love them. Those are great points. All right, so the next one was, what are some step-by-step plan that can help partners in Africa realize their vision, considering their unique situation? Well, first, let me tell you a story. It just comes to my mind right now. I went to South Korea. That's very different. Because we actually were the first to open that market. Okay, we brought some people and we started to build the market over there. And so I went there, and someone in the room raised their hand, and she said, "Hey, no, your training is great. I love everything you're sharing, but here in South Korea, people are skeptical. It's very different than in America." I said, "Oh, really? How is it in America?" And she said, "Well, in America, network marketing is pretty established business. Most everyone does it. It's accepted." Anyway, so I thought, wow, that's interesting. Let me tell you what our perception of network marketing in Asia, and particularly in South Korea, what is that vision? How do people, see it? And I said, in America, what we say is, oh man, Asia, they just grow so fast. Because when you share with Blessing an opportunity, she has to listen, because it's like offering a gift. So she has to listen, and she has to offer her help. And so they buy products or they join the business if that's what you need. And I said, that's so easy. That's why teams grow so fast. And I stopped. And everybody looked at each other, and they all start to laugh in the room. And I said, you know what? We all think that we're different. We are. We all have challenges. Either a market, there's tons of people already in the market. Maybe there's thousands of companies in that market. Maybe there's a new company that comes and bring, your whole team over to that other company. Maybe there's challenges of price. When I joined the company here 13 years ago, the products were not yet in Canada, but we were able to join and buy them. And so, when I was placing my auto ship order, I was waiting. And when I received my product that same week, my auto ship was running for the following month. It was taking about 3 to 4 weeks to get the products. How do you build a business, in that environment? When today we're used to, order and then 2 days later it's home max. That was not happening. And so we had challenges. The products would stop at the border, get back to the company, order again, tell your customer you're going to have to wait another month or two. It was insane. Every market has their challenges. They're all different. But here's what I found. I'm sure you all heard this quote. It says, "Success rises and falls on leadership." Every single country that I've been building the business in, whether it's been in South Korea, France, UK, Canada, everywhere, one leader eventually stepped up and didn't accept or bought into any single excuse. Not one. It was, oh, process takes time. That's okay. That's normal. We're just starting. That's how it works. In 2 years from now, you can wait 2 years from now and build then when it's going to be easier. But you know what you're going to say in 2 years? You're going to say, I wish I would be at the beginning. All right? There's always something. But the leader that stepped up and doesn't buy in any of the excuses is the one that changes the market. And it's happened everywhere. Everywhere. It's been like that. France, I remember we were the first person to recruit someone in France, the first French person. That person joined. We started to build. No French material. So we translated, not the company, we translated the material. We were doing webinars, we were doing all kinds of things. But there, like, people were joining, but they were saying, oh, French people are different. It's not easy here. They're skeptical. We kept building. And you know what happened? Someone else from another team, not ours, even though we were the first in France, someone else in another team joined the company, blew up. Guess what happened to our team? It started to explode because they saw others succeed. They saw that France, people are blowing up, teams are growing. So it affected the other teams, our teams. And then later on, we brought some big leaders. Some people joined, some people started and became leaders. And next thing you know, now we've got some pretty big teams in Europe. But I could have, a couple of times, I could have got discouraged. I could have said, oh, yeah, it's hard in France, but I just kept going because I knew I needed to be that leader, that stubborn leader that knew that one day I'm going to have huge teams in France. I don't know who it's going to be, how it's going to happen. I don't know, but it's going to happen. It doesn't matter. Like, give me any excuse you want. It's okay. It's your excuse, not mine. I'm building. Watch me. And that's what happened. Eventually, it was my turn. Eventually, it's going to be your turn. I know. And I've seen it. I remember I was in competition with Steve Schwartz. Tim Sells was the first to join RX years ago, and which now is owned by PartnerCo. But we joined, and he sponsored me and Claudia, my wife, and he sponsored Steve Schwartz. And we kind of were not in competition. We worked together, but he was growing faster. Then I grew faster. Then he grows faster. Then I grow faster. And then, he blew up. But I could see that every time it was my turn, his turn, my turn, his turn. Why? Because I paid the price. I was showing up. I was there. So that's super important. And that happens with a word that you should all write down, which is so crucial. That's going to make the difference in your business. It's called certainty. Certainty. That to me is a word that I kept my entire life because people buy that. The degree, like, are you certain? Do you have certainty in the fact that you are going to create success? People buy that. They're going to buy that. If you have doubts, hesitations, they are going to buy that too. But your level of that certainty, I mean, there's no level in certainty. It's just you're certain. It's a done deal. That translates. That shows up. And so you need to have that and convey that. All right? No matter the challenge. Yeah. And the second thing, all right, because there's that mindset we just talked about that is important in building huge teams in South Africa and Nigeria and all the everywhere, anywhere. It's not just that country, those different countries, but it's around the world. The second thing I would say, and we talked a little bit about that, but it's decide on a system. Now, some of you are seeing the huge growth in the US right now. Sales of some products are like 2,000% growth from last year to this year. You're looking at that and you say, oh my goodness, this is crazy. This is insane. But here's, when I looked at what they're doing, I could pinpoint back to moments in my career where the same patterns occurred. The difference is they sustained and pushed those patterns longer. Let me tell you what it is. There's either a product or a system that you endorse, and you say, that's the product I'm going to focus on. And then what you do is, okay, I'm going to build with that product. It doesn't matter, quite frankly, the product. I've seen it. It happened to us in our teams a couple different times over the last 13 years. And I could see it in another company I was with before, that was a skincare company. And that was the same thing. It's a focus on one thing. Even though you've got all these other products, there's one focus. Why? Because it's simple. It's easy. You can teach people on that one, and you can have stories, and it's story after story after story on that one thing. Again, doesn't matter what it is, but that's one thing. So you focus on that. You create a story around the product, results. Then you show the results to your teams, to potential customers, to social media. You show results. You get more people involved getting results, but promoting the way you're promoting. So then you have stories on the product, and then you have stories on promoting the business a certain way. And then what you do is you teach on that product, you show the testimonials, and you show the testimonials of people who are promoting, and you're edifying the people who are using the system and getting results. And then suddenly there's a momentum that kicks in, because very few people on your team are going to follow it initially. Maybe 2, 3, 4 people, depending on the size of your team. A few people, but then those 3, 4, 5 people follow it. You feature them. Hey, Neil, tell me, how's that working for you? What are you doing to create success? Well, I'm doing this. Oh, it's the same thing we're doing. Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah. Okay, good. Hey, Yolanda, what are you doing? Oh, I do 1, 2, 3. Oh, same thing as Neil. Yeah. Oh, okay. So then the team starts to see, like, she's doing it, he's doing it. They're all doing the exact same thing. So they think it must be the thing, because here's the thing. Most people believe more in things outside of themselves than themselves. They're going to believe more in a system, in a product, in a company, in momentum, than they believe in their own ability to create success. And now you're tricking them. But it's not tricking them. It's working with them, for them. You're putting the system on the forefront, as if what's creating the success for Neo and Yolanda and everybody else is because they're doing this. But truthfully, it's because they believe that thing is working. They're using it, they're doing it, and that's creating results. So to me, that's what I found that was creating success. And that's what's happening right now in the US. They're blowing up because everybody's lining up on one thing, one system, one focus. And it's incredible. The growth is happening left and right. And there's people who never sold any product for years. They started following the system, and then suddenly they're making sales left and right. So that, to me, is one thing that in your market, as in any other market, is to decide what is that one thing you're going to promote, and how are you going to promote it? Create success stories with those two, and then feature them all the time. And then there's a new person that follows it, feature them. Hey, they're using this. And then there's a third, a fourth, a fifth, and then there's 50 people doing the exact same thing. They're getting results. And then now it's momentum. That's what needs to happen. Africa, Europe, anywhere. That's what it is. Okay. Are we good on time, or just let me know if still have time?
We're good on time, Stephan. You can share one more, and then we'll open up for the team to ask questions.
Okay, perfect. Okay, the last point you brought up, Blessing, is any other insights or strategies that can motivate the field to succeed? Okay, I'm going to share something I shared on stage last January in Europe, because I think that's important, and I'm sure most of you, 99% of you, didn't hear it. And so here it goes. When I joined the business, I remember my upline shared a story of him when he joined the industry. He was working with the Navy SEAL. He was defusing bombs. And so he was you can imagine when he gets off work, he's not yet back home. He's wearing these gears with grenades and guns and everything. Okay, he's pretty well equipped. That's not a guy you're going to mess with. He decides to drive to his future upline, and he says, okay, now you got to tell me something. I'm interested in the business, but you got to tell me, what's the trick? Like, what's the bad thing? What's the worst thing that can happen? Because if I join, I want you to tell me right now, what are the challenges I'm going to face? And he says, okay, I'm going to tell you. He says, because if you don't tell me, watch out, I'm coming back, and you're not going to like it. So when you're equipped like that, you don't mess with them. All right. So the guy said there's 4 things that are going to happen. Those are the 4 things that are the toughest thing in the business. One is rejection. And I'm going to cover and tell you a quick story on each one. Okay. Rejection is number 1. And rejection, for me, it happened when I was young. I was, again, like I told you earlier, introvert, shy boy, didn't talk to many people, didn't have many friends. And I experienced some, what they call now, they didn't call that back then. It was like bullying. I think that's the term in English, bullying. Anyway, so,
yeah, bullying.
Yeah. So I would walk into the yard of the school, and then kids would make fun and push me around and do all that kind of crap, right, with me. Today, it's okay. I look back and say, okay, these were experiences that forged my character, and it's done. Okay, that's over. I'm over that pretty much. But at the time, it was something pretty tough, because now you're in a school, in fear of school, I would miss all the school activities. When they would go out, I would miss those because I didn't feel confident being around people. So rejection is pretty tough. It can happen in this business in the form of you being on a webinar, right? Being invited to a webinar, and oh my gosh, or you open your cell phone and do a live. There's rejection you're gonna be facing in this business. You got to be able to face that. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2 is disrespect. People are gonna laugh at you. Are you kidding me? You're taking these pills or this potion, and that doesn't work. You really believe in that? Or they're gonna say, oh, you're in one of those things? I can't believe, like, it really happened to you. Like, you believe in that? And so people are gonna make fun of you. I remember I have an uncle that every time I would meet him, he would say, so how is it going with your little MLM thing? And he would say it because every time he asked me the question, I would say, oh, it's going great. Even though it was not yet going great, to me, I was on the path of success. Not I was not sharing the results with them. I was sharing the path is great. I'm going there, but I believe I would create success. So I had a burning desire to prove him wrong. And when I finally created success, you know what happened? He never asked me again, how is it going with your little thing? Because he could see me traveling around the world, speaking on stage, like, things were happening. So that's going to be something that you're going to face. Are you able to face disrespect? And if you hang around people like all of us here, often you're going to start to believe that this thing can really happen. Okay. Number 3 is attrition. You're going to lose people. People are going to quit. Here's what happened. A few years ago, I shared that on stage I think it was a year and a half ago. Dan from corporate. We're on stage, a couple people. I think there's Chris Doyle. Anyway, a couple of leaders. And I'm one of them. And he said, okay, I've got a question for you guys. What's the weirdest place you found a prospect? And I'm thinking, like, what's the weirdest place? And I'm thinking, and then suddenly I said, oh my gosh, I can't share this on stage. But then you know what happened is sometimes you're facing a crowd and you're like, it's blank. Like you can't think anymore. You're frozen. So I couldn't think of any other. And what is number 2? Number 2 is disrespect. Okay, so rejection, disrespect, and attrition. So I'm facing the crowd, and there's someone talking. I think it was Tammy. She's sharing like the way she found a prospect, and I can't think of anything else. So it's going to be my turn. I have to share, and I'm thinking I can't share this. This is going to look so weird. But anyway, it's my turn, and there's no other thoughts, so I have to share. And I'm sharing now. So I'm crazy, but anyway, It was the toilet. I was sitting on the toilet. That's the weirdest place I found a prospect. How it happened, sometimes you have some magazines on the side of your toilet. Well, I had these magazines, and one of them was Networking Times magazine. Back a few years ago, it existed, but I had those, like an expired version, like from years ago. So I grab it, I'm reading, and then I see this story of these people in Indonesia that they built huge teams, very inspiring. So then I flip the page and I see a picture of them with one of the companies we acquired. I said, wow, that was the company they're with. They're now in our company, but we're not in Indonesia. What's happening? So I'm curious. I got time, right? I'm sitting in a place where there's no disturbance or anything. I'm not disturbed anyway. So I grab my phone and I search on Facebook and I found the guy. Add him as a friend, send him a message, drop the phone. I'm almost done. Next thing, it rings. Oh, okay. Pick the phone. Hey, it's him. Oh, wow. Start to talk with the guy. And finally, he said, yeah, the company's closed the market, blah, 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 blah. And he said, you guys should come over to our country and open our country. I said, well, we're not going to open the market. We got so much going on. I said, but the only thing we could do is if you have a company in that country that we could open, that we could acquire, we might bring them over and build the market. And so like days, weeks pass by, we're talking back and forth. And you know what happened? We brought a company called Shannon. Some of you may have been around for some time that you heard of that company, Shannon in Indonesia. We are the ones, Claudia and I, that brought this company over. They were doing $28 million in sales. So we merged the company and we inherited the entire company's downline. That's 400,000 people in our downline that we saw show up there. Can you imagine 400,000 people? That's huge. Now, it just happened at the time where the company was in transitions and things happened. And so we saw the organization come. A few weeks it was there. It was huge. It was insane. That the volume was, anyway, crazy. But then that deal didn't work out. It just shut down. And we lost 400,000 downline members. Wow, almost 500,000 people in your team, that evaporates. So when someone says, hey, Stephane, I'm just discouraged, I'm thinking I'm quitting, I've got a team member, I thought she would be great, and she decided to quit. I said, oh, how many people does she have on her team? And he says, none, it's just her. I said, okay, oh, so you lost one person. Oh, yeah, I just really feel sorry for you. Now, of course, I've got sympathy. I know how it feels. But when you lose 400,000 people, that puts things in a different perspective. And so here's what I found. The reason people quit, most of the time, there's two reasons. One is because they don't have a goal big enough. So if, for example, your goal, Nick, for example, let's say your goal, and I know it's bigger than that, but let's say Nick says, well, my goal is to make, $300. We're going to talk in dollars, $300 per month. And then something happens, the order ships, there's something wrong going, and he says, oh, this is too complicated. I don't want to deal with all of that. Why? Why would he quit? Because maybe his goal is not high enough to handle those types of challenges. So when someone is ready to quit, usually it's because that is one of the reasons. They don't have a goal strong enough to get them moving and keep going. One. And number two, it's maybe they have a big goal, but they don't believe that it's going to happen. And so if Nick has a big goal and his goal is 50,000 a month, 100,000 a month, doesn't matter, big goal, but he doesn't believe it, and then a challenge appears, he may just quit. But if he believes he's going to make 100,000 a month, auto ship went through, but something went wrong. Hey, let's fix this. Like, we don't have time to mess with this. I got 100,000 waiting here, right? So those are two possibilities. So when you think of attrition, think about that and look at what's going on in your world, but what's going on in your team's world. Are they facing challenges and it's tough and it's like, why? They don't believe in them. They don't have big goals enough. So those are the things you need to work on. And I think, oh yeah, the last one, I'm finishing with this one and then we go to questions. Last one is deception. Okay, so we just talk about rejection, disrespect, attrition, and deception. Deception is when you think someone's going to do something, they don't do it. You think someone is going to join, they don't join. All kinds of things like that. Here's what happened to me. I remember years ago, I'm starting to build a business. Things are starting to pick up, but we have some credit cards. We're kind of maxed out, right? Money comes in from our jobs, Claudia and I, but we're tight. And so I've got this guy, John. Oh my gosh, John built a huge team. He's a big leader and he's really considering joining our business. And he says, Stephane, I'm really solid. I like what I see, but I need to go and meet with the owners. He says, I want to fly to Utah. So, okay, I can organize that for you. Book the meeting, everything is good. I call my upline. He lives in Utah. I say, hey, Tim, tell me, can you be there at that event? Blah, blah, blah. I said, it would be great. And said, yeah, sure. But what about you? I said, oh, money is tight. I don't know. Like, do I need to be there? Can you go for me? He says, I can, but what if John goes there and he gets to meet someone else, some leaders, whatever, and he decides he wants to join with them? We don't control who he joins with. Of course, we're going to say, no, you should go with Stephane, but it could happen. And I said, oh boy, can I risk not showing up there? And so I talked to my wife and she says, no, you go, we'll bootstrap, we do whatever, go. So I go, I book a flight. And fortunately, I got a lady and her husband, Arlene and Ennis, who lives in Utah. And they say, hey, come over, we're going to host you. I'm saving the hotel. Great. And we're going to pick you up at the airport. I love this network marketing business. People are so nice. Anyway, so they take me to their home. We go hiking, we do stuff. And then in the afternoon, the next day is the meeting. In the afternoon, I get a text message. And it's John. And John says, hey, Stephane, I'm so sorry. I was in the airplane. The airplane is about to leave and take off, but then they had to stop. There's a problem with the brakes on one of the wheels. So they had to go back to the airport and fix some things. And I couldn't find any other, plane. So I'm just going to, not go. But I heard there's a meeting happening 2 months from now in Florida. I'll be there. Let's meet with them. And I'm like, oh, what do I do? Like, oh my. And then a few hours, like the next day, I'm supposed to have the meeting. It's not happening, of course. The next day, I'm with Ennis, Arlene. I'm supposed to leave at night, or the next day. I don't remember exactly. But then Claudia is texting me. She says, hey, can we talk? Sure. And I've been postponing that call. But then, hey, hi, Claudia. Hey, how are you? My wife. And she says, so how's it going? I said, oh, it's great. Ennis and Arlene they took me out. We went walking in the forest. He said, no, not the one, not Ennis, not Arlene. Like, what about the leader? I said, oh yeah, the leader. He says, what? What do you mean? Oh, the leader. Isn't it why you're supposed to be there? I'm like, oh, yeah. But, here's what happened. Oh, that was a tough call because we had put everything on the line. We didn't know what was going to happen. So that is the deception that happens sometimes in the business and more than one time. But if you're able to face those four things, rejection, deception, attrition, disrespect, you can face anything. Things are going to happen and you're going to keep going. Face those things, bulletproof yourself for that, and you're going to create success in your business. So there you go. That's what I wanted to share with you. I'm ready if you have questions.
Awesome. Simply amazing. Incredible call. Thank you so much, Stephane, for all the values and insights that you've shared. I've seen some questions in the chat box earlier. Someone was asking about, I think they mentioned, how do you invite, to share some examples about how do you invite extend invitation to people?
Yeah. So I learned the inviting formula from Tim Sales. He's got a training on that called Professional Inviter. And he goes over 6 things that you need to go over to invite someone. Okay. Number 1 is the greeting. The greeting is when I talk to someone, I try to get them to open up and talk freely and openly to me. So if I'm talking Blessing, hey, Blessing, how are you doing today? So, hey, tell me, I see, you're on Facebook, you got kids and all that. So do you work these days? Like, what's going on? Because you asked me about the business, or, if you reply to a post, or maybe it's an ad, or whatever it is. And so then you tell me, yeah, I work at this job. And so what has you looking? What's going on? And so how long have you been working in that field? And so I ask questions. I'm interested in you. And so I want you to open up. And the way I know you open up is if you use more than one word answer, like yes, no, you tell me more. If you're opening up, then I know the greeting is accomplished. At that point, I can move to step number 2, which is qualify. And qualify is where I want to dig deeper. If you say, yeah, I want to make more money. Oh, really? Okay, good. Yeah, a lot of people want to make money. Why do you want to make more money? What's the big goal, right? So I want to dig deeper because I need to find a core reason that's going to hold you to this. And so even if you come up with, well, I want to spend more time with my kids because it's hard for me to drop them in, school, and I want to be them. I don't want to be with them. I want to travel the world. I want to do those things. And then if later you come up with an objection, oh, I don't have time to do this, then I have something to rely on, not just more money, because you can make more money at McDonald's, right? But I have something I can say, well, I understand you don't have time. Don't you think we need to figure out something? Because you said you want to take your kids out of school, you want to travel the world, and I know those are important for you. So can we look at your schedule and see if we can find a little bit of time so that you can really achieve those things, right? So that's going to serve me. That's important. So number 2 is so greeting, qualify. Then I'm going to invite you to look at the information. Okay. And it's just as simple as, okay, good. So you tell me you want to do those things. Great. I've got this video. I'm going to send it to you. Make sure you pay attention to the leverage part, because that's how it's going to allow you to have more time so you can take your kids off of school and you can travel the world, right? So I link the video or the information I'm going to share with your goal so that you have a very high interest. They see that there's a connection between that video and your goals, okay? So that's the invite. And then I'm going to do the follow-up, right? So that's the other part of the invite. So which is, I just follow up. But through that process, there can be objections that surface. So that's another part of the invite, where if there's an objection surface right there, I need to handle it. So there's a formula to handle, objections, but that's what I need to do. I need to handle those objections. And then the last one is follow through. Follow through is if someone says, well, I want to do this business, I got to follow through with them for them to achieve their goal. So I got to, work with them. So that's the inviting formula. So if you use that on text, on audio, on telephone, in person, it's going to work all the time. It doesn't matter the script. It's not a script. It's more of a formula that works in any situation. Now that was quick. This would need probably to be a training by itself, but that's just giving you guidelines of what inviting means to me. And understand, I spent lots of time to study that, to the point that I learned to speak a language studying it. So there's a lot involved here, but that's what it is.
Thank you so much, Stephan. Thank you. Any other questions in the chat box? No, can you fish out any?
I've checked. No, I went through the chat box, Blessing. I couldn't pick up any other question except for the questions that were related to orders to countries that we are not yet opened in.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think those are relevant to Stephan, but I also see that Lizelle has her hand up. We can maybe allow her to open herself up and ask the question.
Yeah, and I also see a last question that just came up, which is about the system, like system worthwhile learning more about. I would say, they have the system of growth in the US. So I would study that, and I would say, okay, what's the product I can focus on in South Africa or Nigeria or, different markets that I can focus on and tweak it. Like take that system of growth and just tweak it for that product. specifically. That's it. You got a model that works. Just repeat it. That's it. That's what I would do. That would be a great system to pick on. So they have the system, the boards app. You just copy that, or maybe your current upline already has one. Right? So don't even look for something else. Just focus on them, on what they're doing, apply it, use that, like team up, and that's what's going to work. And then you'll see with, let's say it's the system of growth, for example, then you study it, but then you look at what webinars and support they have in place, implement that. Like just do those things. That's it.
Awesome.
Lisa.
Absolutely. One of our partner council member, Andrew, always says that don't try and change the system. The system is already there, created. You just need to copy and paste, to your point, Stefan. Thank you so
true.
much.
So true. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. That's why I said go for that system, but you probably already have one. All right. So now what we need to do is to make sure that there's 2, 3, 4, 5 people following it, getting results. Then you feature them. Then you get more people on board, feature them. And so it's going to pick up. And eventually it just blows up.
Awesome. Finally, Lizelle.
Lisette, you have your hand raised, but we can't hear you. Your microphone is muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello,
Good
Lisette.
evening.
Good
Hello.
evening.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Partner Council, blessing, and our guest, honorable guest, for the opportunity. You did run a bit fast through everything, but thank God for the recording, because one can always go back and go make notes and add.
I'm sorry for my accent.
No,
I don't have an exotic accent like you guys in Africa. Sorry.
No, that's fine. So my question is around the what's interesting, what you mentioned was you end up coaching your team, your leadership style of what it is that the company that you gravitate towards. So in the beginning, for me, obviously, I was desperate, so it was health. And then in my growth and being intentional, I managed to get my health under order. And then all of a sudden, because I stayed plugged in, it became the personal development for me, which is now scary for me, because it is almost like it is taking over everything. And now I need to find the balance, because the personal development is now overwhelming for the team members who did not move with the momentum. So now I feel it's like almost a break in the speed. This business actually humbled me. I'm using this business as the vehicle to build my character as a first generational business in the industry. My previous business, I thought I know, but now with India, I know nothing. I'm starting from scratch. But I want to know what strategy would you give if with my team, whether they like it or not, intentional or not, I just give and I feed, because obviously I'm operating, it's not about me, but it is my growth I'm acknowledging. So it's a different frequency. Now I'm trying to look at a way of how do I involve them, because they are not plugged in and they are not, so to speak, actively, a majority of them working the business. It's hard for me to identify who's got what skill that is good that we can utilize in our team that can help us, because I found, because of the personal development management style that I know, it's only when you mention it now that it actually clicked for me that could be why I'm struggling to make the money I'm supposed to make in the business. So I then changed my strategy to only give them on a need-to-know basis, like what is important. Here's the training plugged in, and not spend so much time trying to use my personal development experience to make them understand that they need to, because that keeps me almost behind. That's the one thing. So I basically want you to maybe make an example of how I can identify these skills and utilize it so that I don't feel, alone within the group. And then I just want to share, you touched on follow-ups. I just had an incident today where I realized how important the follow-ups is and how important it is that we really do it the old-fashioned way and write things down. It is very important to have reference to go back if you follow up, because the follow-up is a hot lead and it sprouts. So, yeah, and in the follow-up, oh yeah, and if I can just share an activity that I saw that is sort of having a shift in my business. When I speak to people now, because I don't have the monetary proof yet that I'm making money, and of course, like I said, I'm a kingdom millionaire pending, so my money's not actually for me. So they're not really going to see the flashy stuff they're waiting for before they join me. But I just wanted to say, if you look at the personal development and you advertise that on Facebook, is as if you get more traction than when you speak about the product. So I'm struggling in the personal development area and how to find the balance.
Okay, so for the first point, how do you train, support your team, especially when you are focused on personal development and you don't overwhelm your people? And also, how do you coach and identify individual needs and support those people with their particular needs? So if you, I don't know if you do that, but maybe like for us, we do like once a week webinar for the entire team. If that webinar is geared towards personal development, because that's your preference, that's what you need, you can go an entire hour every single week just on that. That could probably be what you're doing. I don't know. I'm guessing. So what I suggest is pick those three things we talked about: personal development, skills, and system. And you do that every single week. All right. So that this way, it's not an hour long of personal development. It's 15, 20 minutes max of each subject. So it's quick. It's simple. It's a little tip. They get to learn, because understand something. Most people will not retain everything you talk about. Just like today, they're on the webinar, but they're going to retain maybe one or two of the stories I shared. Like if we go 6 months down the road. So that's why if you do like small little bits of each of those three components, then your webinar is going to not last forever. Every week it's going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining. They're going to learn something. But then what you do is you can feature people who are growing in personal development, what they learned. Same thing on the skills. What are specific skills of inviting or generating leads, or things like that. And the system is who's using the system. What are the results are you getting? And just refining, making sure they follow it. So if you do that every week, then it's not going to be overwhelming on just one subject. Now, here's what's going to happen if you want to train specific people, is people who follow that webinar and they go in action. Not everybody's going to go in action. Not everybody's going to go into enough action to create results, but there's going to be a few who will. Those who are really in action, what you can do is you create a small, like a coaching group, individual, like just with them. So it could be up to maximum 6 people. Lower, it's even better, because otherwise it lasts too long. But maximum 6 people. These are your, and you can have 1, 2, 3, or 4 of those each week, not with the same people, but with different groups, okay, depending on the size of your team. So what you do is, all you do in that coaching is, okay, hey, Nick, where are you in the business? Like, what's happened this last week? Which area do you need help with? And then Nick says, well, I'm struggling with this. I've got these objections that came up. I don't know how to handle them. Then you help that person. Right? That's specific. So this way, what you're going to do is you're going to have very tailored, specific coaching for each person that's actually in action. Because if you try to do that on a large webinar, it's going to go on forever. Okay, it's too long. Could you do it one-on-one? Yes, if your team is small. Now, I get to a point where I can't do just one-on-one. Like, it's going to happen, rarely, but I do groups. So that's why, so that's how you do it. So this way, then Nick gets the specific training he needs. So then the following week when he comes back, he says, oh man, yeah, that's great. That helped me. I got those 2 people that came up with these objections. here's what happened. Now what do I need to do to improve? So from 1 week to the next, these people are going to improve on their own specific area. And the others listening on the call, they learn from what the teaching you're giving that person. So that's how you help your team grow in the specific areas they need to grow in. Does that make sense?
Thank you so much, Stephane. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the call tonight. We're so grateful for all of the value that you've shared with our team. And one of the things that Stephane mentioned on the call, and we've had these conversations over, is that you need to show that all of this value that is being shared with you, what are you doing with it? Giving back. So that would motivate us to host more of these leaders sharing success strategies with you. Remember, everyone is a leader on this call, and that success rises and falls with leaders. Stephane mentioned it. You're a leader. The success of your team, of the market, rises and falls with you. Let's go back to the field and apply all of these that Stephane has shared from his wealth of experience. We too can be celebrated. Thank you so much, Stephane. Any parting words for the field as we round up?
Well, thank you so much. It's just a pleasure to be with you and be able to contribute in a little way to your success. But I look forward to seeing Africa just blow up in sales and success stories. And I look forward to go and meet you in person. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Stephane. We really appreciate it. Thank you, team. We hope that this strategy shared tonight will help you shut up the naysayers, like Stephane had in his uncle. We hope that the strategies will help you shut up the naysayers when we begin to celebrate you on global and international platforms. Good night, team. Good night, everyone. Thank you, Stephane.
Thank you, Stephane, and thank you, team. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Well done. Thank you. Thank you, corporate. Thank you, Stephane. Thanks,
everybody.
You're
welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, team. Have a great evening. Thank you for connecting with us.
Thank you.